message is let go and let God. I know, very easy to say, sometimes, most of the time, all the time, very difficult to do. So I've learned over the course, I'll be celebrating 8 years next month of recovery. Yep. Hey, all him. But through the course of that, I've learned, and I'm still learning, so don't hold me to this. I'm not perfect at this whatsoever. But I've learned over the course of almost 8 years that I need to focus on what I can control and kind of let go of what I can't. And that's where I have to let go of the things and let God control those. Because ultimately, I could be wrong. I've read scripture some, but God's in control of everything. Amen. He knows the outcome of everything, right? And so to go along with that, the current thing that's going on in my life is my family and I have taken over a new ministry. We are excited for the opportunity, excited for the growth. We know we're going to get stretched, and it's going to be super crazy in the years to come. But we're excited. It's going to start, it's kind of already started, but it's going to start full force in January. And so that ministry is the one that you heard about last week, and that's the Stephen ministry. And we are super excited to be able to take our value and our love and our skills and our craziness to a very different ministry, but at the same time, a lot of the same. Now, if you got super excited because you thought I was leaving, I'm sorry, I'm not. You're still stuck with me. So we just added a ministry because, that's what we feel like God has led us to do. And so that's been a talk, that's been a conversation that we've had. And it's like, what is that going to look like? More people to love on, more time spent. And so that was a huge conversation me and my wife had to have. That means that at least 2 more hours out of the week, I'm not going to be home. And if you're new, I have 5 kids. 11, 8, 6, 3, and 2. Blessing. Lots of blessings. Now, in 3 years, when my oldest daughter is old enough to take control of everybody, yes, she'll be 5 for those mathematicians. She'll be in control of everything. She already kind of is at 3, but 2 more years and she'll have everything nailed down. It'll be a little bit easier. But right now, it's just a busy season for us. We got 3 in school, 2 that are not. Wife's working part-time. I'm here full-time. It's just a lot. But after praying about it and letting go of our earthly fears, hesitations, God was like, hey, this is what you all need to do. And so throughout all this year, Faith Promises always talked at a few different points, like what is next in your life? What is next? And so I talked to my bosses and talked to my wife, obviously, because if you're married, you can't do spouse alone. If you try, you're going to fail. Something will. So your wife's got to be with you. Your family's got to be with you. That's the most important thing. But we feel like that's what's next for us. And so that was a big step, a nervous step. But I'm going to be in Proverbs a lot tonight, by the way. There's just so much in here. So if you want to, you can go ahead, turn to Proverbs 16, 7 through 9. I brought the big book in today. 1, because I can read it a little bit better. But 2, there's some questions in here or phrases that are super cool with this. But let's jump in. Proverbs 16, verse 7. When people's lives please the Lord, even their enemies are at peace with them. Better to have little with godliness than to be rich and dishonest. We can make our plans, but the Lord determines our steps. That's huge. Just those 3 little verses. The Word of God is super cool. Like, it's alive. I don't know if you guys are aware of that. You're like, how could words be alive? They are. They're just alive. And you're going to have different seasons of your life where all of a sudden you could read this verse 20 times. I had probably read this verse, I don't know how many times, and just skimmed over it. But for whatever reason, this week, like it clicked. It's like, oh, I can make my plans, right? And it's good to make plans. But God's going to determine my steps for that. And then earlier on in the chapter, in verse 1, it says, we can make our own plans, but the Lord gives us the right answer. And so a little segue in what this verse means, and it's super cool when I read it. I hope you guys find that the same. It says, this verse can be understood to mean that God controls the final outcomes of the plans we make. So we already know he's in control. He already knows everything that's going to happen, right? And so why should we even make plans? It's a very good question. They answer it, though. It says, in doing God's will, we must coordinate our efforts with God's control in much of what we do. God gives us free will to plan and to work out details. He wants us to use our minds to seek the advice of others and to plan. So I don't know about you guys. That's why having a small group is so important. Because you're going to have people in there who eventually will be your friends, but currently are not. And they're there to love and to support you and to give you sound advice, right? And we're going to discuss that a little bit later. But that's why small groups are so important. Community, super important. I wouldn't be here today or be able to take on another ministry if it wasn't for the community that I've grown up with while being here. They have pushed me to be better, and because of that, I get to take on more. And that's exciting for me. And it should be for you guys too. Because that means once you get involved in a community, if you're already not, more and more is going to be asked of you. And you're like, I don't know about that. Like, super cool when that happens. Because I'll tell you, when I was here for 6 months, I was greeting at the front door. I was like, hey, someone needs to run the resource room so we can purchase stuff. Because currently, I wasn't going on the weekend, so I couldn't get anything. And they're like, well, why don't you do it? I'm like, I'm a year into recovery, and you want to put me around money? All right. But it worked out. I didn't take anything. And now I'm on stage with a microphone, and I get to be over FpCelebrate. Super cool. You never know what God's going to do with your life. Live for him, asking him for guidance while you plan, and then trusting him when you act on your plans. So for a lot of you out there, you guys have probably been where I've been before, and I tried to control everything. Anybody else try to control? All right, half of you are honest, half of you are not. We have a group for that. I love kids. So honest. So honest. At some point, you try to control things in your life. Let me ask you, how well did it turn out? It's okay, I'm here too. Clearly, me taking control of my life wasn't the best idea. But it's okay not to be okay. Because at some point, someone listened to God and followed the plan and said, hey, this guy's going to be part of your plan. I need you to go get him. And they brought me aboard. That's why we exist. To help those that feel hopeless, to help those that have lost everything and say, hey, it's okay. I tried to control my life too. It didn't work out either. But why don't you come on Monday night or Tuesday night or Wednesday night or Thursday night? God, it doesn't matter. Yes, I'm biased. I think we are the best thing around. FpCelebrate and Faith Promise, just the whole package. I think Faith Promise is phenomenal. But we're not everybody's cup of tea. Right? I walked around several different churches until I walked in these doors and I was like, oh, this is home. Like I just felt it. Right? If we're not it for you, please let me know. Truly, I say that with all the love that I've got If you don't like us, I'm okay. Right? I want to see you be better. That's what I care about. I could care less if you like us or not. I just want you to be healthy and whole. And if that's not here, man, there's several others around. I'd love to tell you about them. I know a few of the pastors. They're phenomenal. Their stories are great. And I'm looking forward to the future years where I get to know people more and more. Because currently that is a struggle in my life, is making connections with other pastors, because I was so consumed for the past 2 years of I don't have time to do anything but be here. And if you're here last week, that's kind of what I shared. I lied to myself for 2 years that I didn't have enough time. And then I took on 2 sponsees, and now I'm taking over another ministry. Like, I'm hoping to get outside of these walls and do ministry, because that's what it's all about. Ministry doesn't happen in these walls, ladies and gentlemen. It happens outside in your community. This is just a place to gather. But so could your home. What hesitations are holding you back? What fears are consuming you? Why have you not let go of a situation and let God just take control over it? That's what we're having to do in our lives. And no, when I say we, I mean me and my family. There's a lot going on, guys, in several people's lives. I don't know everybody's story, but I can tell you just in our little small group that we have, there's a lot going on in our lives. But if it wasn't for coming here and being with you guys, I don't know where half of us would be. I have an idea of where I would be. I'd probably be in jail for multiple different reasons. But find your community. Find what's important to you. I told you I was going to be in Proverbs a lot. So Proverbs 13:20. 13:20. Some of you guys know it. Some of you guys are about to hear it for the first time. It says, walk with the wise and become wise. Associate with the fools and get in trouble. I don't know about you guys. Pretty black and white right there. Pretty black and white. You're going to hang around the same people you hung around doing drugs. Guess what? You're just going to keep walking in stupid. You start hanging around people that's got something more than you got. Hanging out with the wise kind of goes along with that iron sharpens iron. You got to have people that's going to pour into you. We spoke last week about disciples, building disciples, and how Paul had Timothy, and Timothy had Titus, and Titus had Philemon. That's what you got to do, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah. And it can change so quick. There's times I feel like I'm walking in wisdom and I'm seeking counsel, and there's other times if I'm sinking, I know what I'm walking in. Stupid. One of my favorite stories, I didn't realize how quick, and I mean, of course when you're reading, things happen quick, but like this felt like it was a blink of an eye. So 1 Kings 10, it talks about Solomon. If you don't know who Solomon was the son of David. So yes, King David, the guy who, went out, slept with his best friend's wife, got her pregnant, had him killed to try to cover the whole thing up. It didn't work out. He got caught, just FYI. But David is still called a man after God's own heart. He was forgiven, right? Super cool. There's tons of characters in the Bible that have messed up lives that God was like, no, I'm going to redeem them. So don't ever let someone lie to you and say, hey, you're not redeemable. Read this. There's tons of people in here. Super cool. Super cool how so intertwined over 2,000, 4,000 years ago, how people messed up then. People are still messing up the same way now. Currently, it's just a little bit better because God sent Jesus Christ down on the cross for our sins to forgive us and wipe all that clean. So Solomon was known as the wisest dude ever, wisest king, right? So I just want to read a little bit of 1 Kings 10. I'm going to start in verse 1 and just work my way down just a little bit. It says, when the queen of Sheba heard of Solomon's fame, which brought honor to Jerusalem, honor to the name of the Lord, she came to test him with her hard questions. So she already heard that this guy's super wise, so she wanted to come test it. She arrived in Jerusalem with a large group of attendants and a great caravan of camels loaded with spices, large quantities of gold, precious jewels. When she met with Solomon, she talked with him about everything she had on her mind. Now, I'm going to poke fun a little bit because I can and I'm married. Women have a lot on their minds. Okay, I mean that with love, but y'all do. I understand that, okay? Just a little bit. Solomon had answers for all of her questions. Can I get some of that? Gentlemen, would you take some of that right now? Woo! I wish I could answer every question my wife had or my daughters have. Good gracious. You think it'd be easy to answer a 3-year-old? It ain't. It's just not. Woo! Nothing was too hard for the king to explain to her. When the queen of Sheba realized how very wise Solomon was, and she saw the palace he had built, she was overwhelmed. She was also amazed at the food at his table, the organization of his socials, and their splendid clothing, the cupbearers, the burnt offering Solomon made at the temple of the Lord. Dude's got it all. Wisest king, richest king, best king up to this point, right? Probably ever. I've never really heard of another king being better than him. So that's in 1 Kings 10. Let's jump over to 1 Kings 11. See how quickly this is going to change? Verse 9. The Lord was very angry with Solomon. Like, what happened? You go from being the wisest dude in chapter 10 to being the dumbest in chapter 11. Like, you stepped into stupid hard. I mean, I can relate. I did too. I mean, I didn't wake up an addict, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know if you guys did. I did not. One day I stepped into stupid, and then the next day I stepped into stupid. It was just a journey for me. And then I got on the other side, and it's been a journey since. The reason God was angry at Solomon is because, one, dude had too many wives. This is why we're not supposed to have more than one wife. Guys can't handle more than one. If you're sitting there trying, it's not going to work. It's just not going to work. And it is illegal, but it's just not going to work. But he's angry because all his wives wanted to worship these other gods. That's not okay. There is one God that we worship. One Lord, Kings of Kings, Lord of Lords. That's it. That's it. Stepped into stupid quick. Like I don't know. I can't imagine. And who knows? That could have been a length of a year, 10 years. Who knows? It doesn't say. Some of you historians out there, you probably know. I don't. I'm not a historian. History's not a big thing for me. But you stepped into stupid quick. Oh, I need to go back. I forgot one thing. Because this is super cool too. And it goes along with it. It's fine. We can backtrack. You guys forgive me? Thank you. I need it. So in Proverbs 13:20, I had a little segue for it as well. And this is cool. And I should have highlighted. I didn't. That's why I missed it. It says this. When most people need advice, they go to their friends first because friends accept them and usually agree with them. I know when I went to my friends and said, hey, I think I'm addicted to drugs. They're like, nah, you're fine. Cool. When I didn't go to my friends and I went to wiser people, they're like, nah, you probably need to get help. Probably. I don't like your answer, though, so I'm going to stick with my friends. That's just stupid. But that is why friends may not be able to help us with difficult problems. Our friends may be so much like us that they cannot offer any answer we haven't already thought of. Anybody else can relate to this? Yes. Yeah. You guys can communicate and talk and all that. It's okay. You don't have to be quiet. Instead, we should seek out older and wiser people to advise us. That's why I keep Eric around. I had to. As soon as I read this earlier, I was like, I know where I'm going. But it's been true, though. For those of you who don't know Eric, he's sitting back there. He's in all denim next to the other guy in all denim. But he's been a tremendous help over the course of, 6 years now? Dude, he's been my dude. If I've gone through something or I've had questions or something like that, I've gone to him first. One, he's got multiple years of experience. Decades. Oh, God, I got to pick on him. Because he's leaving me soon. He's going to Oklahoma, for those of you who don't know, but he's got at least 2 decades under him. He's working on his 3rd. God love him. But I'm still going to seek counsel from him. If I've got questions, guess what? There's these magical things called phones. All you sponsees out there, guess what? You can pick them up and use them to call your sponsor. He will be there. She will be there. Comes with the territory when we say, hey, I will be your sponsor. Kind of goes hand in hand. Unwritten agreement. My phone usually stays on vibrate because I have a watch that tells me when people call or text. But there's a few numbers that will bypass all that. My sponsees are one of them. So when they call, it rings. Sometimes it's not at the most opportune time. But I have to tell whoever I'm with, hey, I need a minute to talk to them. Because you never know what they're going through. It could be very simple, guys. It could be very simple. Or it could not be. But they're coming to you to seek the counsel, to seek the wisdom that you have. So if you sponsor anybody, just know it is a big responsibility. Big responsibility. They're trusting you. And vice versa, you're trusting them. Okay? Super important. They are often not afraid to tell the truth. Who are the wise, godly people you know who can warn you of the pitfalls ahead? Now, yes, Eric is my friend too. But he's told me from time to time, out of love, that I might be stepping into stupid sometimes. And vice versa. Guys, it's a two-way street. We've helped each other grow tremendously over the past 6 years. So not only am I taking over another ministry, Eric is starting a Celebrate Recovery in Oklahoma when he goes. That's super exciting, guys. That's what it is for people. Yeah. That's what it means for people to be around the wise and to go where God is telling them to go. Our plan was to go to north. God's plan was for him to go northwest. It's a little bit farther, but it's fine. It's fine. The kingdom will continue to be built there, and it will continue to be built here. So who is that in your life? While I've been talking, have you been thinking, like, who is someone that I can go to who's not necessarily a friend, but will tell me, hey, if you continue down this path, it's going to be rough. Who in your life will do that with a gentleness? Because that's what we talked about last week too, guys. In Galatians 6, you got to do it out of a loving and gentle manner when you have your brothers and sisters stepping into stupid. Now, once you build the relationship, like me and Eric have, you don't have to necessarily do that in a loving, gentle way. You get to do that in a sarcastic way, which, by the way, if you weren't here last week, is passive-aggressive. Didn't know if y'all knew that. I didn't. I just thought sarcasm was a second language that my family came up with. Love language. I love you guys. You guys are my people. You guys are my people. I want to end with this. What would your world or the world around you look like if we took the time to seek counsel from those around who are wise?